All right, everybody. Sorry we're a little late, but we are getting started. We are going to talk about tips for selling your home in 2024. I am Sarah Futa, realtor with the Futa Home Team. We were having a little bit of technical difficulty this morning. Denise is with us. Denise, say hi. I think they can hear you.
Hi, I'm experiencing technical difficulties, so I will be here. If not, you can't see me, but you can hear me.
Exactly. We're going to go with that. We're going to go with that today. So you'll only see me today, but know that Denise is here. You will hear her. She's not a ghost. You just can't see her today.
I wasted
So
my makeup on you.
Denise probably looks better than me today because I just got back in from out of town and I'm a little tired, but we're here. There's no rest for us realtors these days. So well, we wanted to talk today just about getting ready to sell your home. We talk with a lot of clients, and there's sort of two camps, right? There are the people who are thinking about selling their home. They're not exactly sure when, but they'll call us so that we can consult with them and help them along the way, whether it's, you know, a month before we go on the market, 6 months before we go on the market. I mean, sometimes a year or more before we go on the market. And then we have other clients, which this is actually probably the majority, that call us and they need to go on the market in like the next 2 weeks. And so, what we want to talk to you today about is if you have an inkling, if you're thinking, you know what, I might want to sell in 2024. Um, there are things that you can do that we would recommend you do so that when that time comes that you are ready to say, okay, let's sell the house, let's get on the market. You're not trying to shove 2 weeks of stuff, well, 6 months of stuff into a 2 week period. Does that make sense? Denise, you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah, it's better to be prepared and come up with the game plan, and so that way when they are ready, we could just, hit the ground running.
Yep, exactly. And we know that that doesn't always happen. Um, we understand sometimes people are relocating or they've had a life event or something makes that timeline go much faster. And hey, we're ready for that, right? But um, if we can give you a few tips that'll help you, I think it'll put you in a good place. And then if you don't sell in 2024, hey, you've done some things to kind of get your house in order. So the first thing, this is probably not going to be a hard one to guess that I would say is the first thing to do, is to find a realtor, talk to a realtor, engage with a realtor. Lucky for you, Denise and I are realtors, so we are ready for you to engage with us. But I think this is important because there are a lot of things that we can help you with if we understand what your goals are, right? So one of the biggest things is I see a lot of people who are like, well, I want to sell my house, but I have to do this house project and this house project and this house project before we sell. And what Denise and I can do is come in and meet with you and understand your goals and walk through the house with you, knowing it's not going on the market, the next week, and talk about, okay, yes, you should do this in the kitchen, but don't waste your time on this in the bathroom. Or I actually was at a listing appointment last week where they had some drywall patches they had to fix around electrical outlets. But
Mm.
then they also were talking about how they wanted to frame the mirror in the workout room. And I was like, well, fix the drywall, but don't worry about framing the mirror, right? I mean, unless you really want to, but you're going to sell the house, right? Like you're going to
Yeah.
sell the house. Framing the mirror is not going to get you that big of a return, right? I mean, Denise, when you're going through houses, what are some of the things you see that people are most attracted to?
Definitely like kitchen and just overall like paint and especially like the big ticket items. So like furnace, AC, roof, those main things are, if a buyer comes in and those are taken care of, that definitely, it attracts them a lot more. Paint, it's easy to paint over, you know, like
Yes.
it's an easier task. So buyers, I mean, like they'll come in, and if maybe a room is purple, they maybe overlook that if the furnace is good and AC, things like
Right.
yeah.
But on the flip side too, if you're thinking about it and you do have a purple room that you've been thinking about painting, like paint it now because no one wants to spend a 2-week period of time trying to push out a painted room and moving the furniture and stuff like
Yeah.
that, right?
But yeah, it's
Um,
about like, prioritizing. So if a seller prefers to, I mean, if they do have to fix a furnace or service it in some kind of way, then definitely that will be at the top. And then if they still have some time and wiggle room in their budget to paint and do those cosmetic updates, then yeah, definitely. Um,
Absolutely. I think another big thing is really identifying what the goals are. So, some people might be thinking of moving because they're downsizing. Maybe they're thinking of moving because they need more space. Sometimes a lot of people might be thinking of moving because they want to take advantage of the equity in their home. I mean, Denise, you've got a client you've been working with for probably 6 months now that
yeah,
wants, $100,000. He wants to walk away with $100,000. So if we know what your financial goals are, we can track the market with you to be like, hey, okay, do these things to get your house ready. And 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, whenever it might be, if we know that that equity number is the driver for you, we can track when we think selling your home is going to help you achieve that goal.
yeah, yeah. We just got to keep an eye on the market, and I'm sending him a couple updates a month just to see kind of where it's at. So then that way, when we are there and that he can net that 100K or maybe even a little bit more, then we're ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's step one. Get with the realtor so you can even understand what you should be spending your time on and what you shouldn't be spending your time on, right? What are going to be the things that are nice to haves and what are the things that are actually going to get you a really positive return on your investment?
Hmm.
So going back to what Denise said, the roof and the HVAC and windows, those are the three big things that if you're living in the home, you want those things to be in good condition. And when you sell the home, the buyer is going to want those things to be in good condition. Probably the biggest thing is like with the roofs right now. So in Colorado, May of 2023 was the last time we had a big hailstorm. Our hailstorms last year were insane. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people got new roofs, right? Maybe some exterior paint, some windows, screens. I mean, hail can definitely do some damage, but I'm really focusing on the roof right now. So you have 1 year from when an incident happens, typically to file a claim with your homeowner's insurance for it to cover that repair. So
Hmm.
if you're thinking of selling in 2024, and maybe you're thinking it's going to be fall, like September, and you have not had a roofer come look at your roof to see if you have hail damage and an opportunity to file a claim, I would recommend doing that right now. If there's one thing you walk away from this video, I would tell you to have your roof evaluated. Because if we get past that 1 year mark, and let's say it's September, and we put your house on the market and the buyer inspects it and you have hail damage, you might be coming out of pocket for $20,000 plus on a
Hmm.
roof repair versus being able to file a claim with your insurance and pay your deductible, which people's deductibles are typically under $5,000. Usually 2,500 is probably the most common one I see.
Hmm.
So I'm not telling you to go replace your roof, but you should evaluate it and understand if there's even that opportunity because I've seen it before where we get out of that year window and you're coming out of pocket for a roof replacement when you could have filed an insurance claim on it.
Yeah, and roofs are not cheap.
They are not. I would say that's probably the most expensive. Now, the second, which is not covered by insurance, but is your HVAC. So, your furnace and your air conditioner. Now, furnaces and air conditioners are meant to last, 10, 15, and the old ones sometimes even 20 years, right?
Mhm.
Um, and whether you've got an original or even a newer one, if you take care of things, things will take care of you, right? We've all heard this before. You should have your furnace and your air conditioner cleaned and serviced every year, right? In the appropriate seasons. And if you've got rust or if you've got something that's not working right, maybe it's a part replacement, just for like that optimal performance, or
Mhm.
you might be in a situation where you're going to have to replace it. We can plan on things like as we get into a transaction, but if you can maintain those things and maybe pay I mean, it costs usually under $100, maybe under 200, let's be
Yeah.
on the safe side, to have your furnace or your air conditioner serviced, right? Um, that could save you the seven to $10,000 per unit it costs to replace it,
Mhm.
right? And air conditioning, back in the day, air conditioning wasn't popular in Colorado, but it's definitely popular now.
Oh, yeah, I can't live without it.
I couldn't either. Sometimes in the mountains and stuff, you don't need it if like you're at a higher elevation and stuff, but
Yeah.
definitely down on the front range. And then lastly, I would say your windows. There's some great window companies out there where you're just looking at your screens or how your windows open and shut. But probably the biggest one I see is if you've got condensation in your windows between the panes, that means a seal has broken.
Mhm.
And a lot of time a buyer will see that and think you need a whole new window. There are glass companies out there that can come out and redo the glass pane and, seal that window, which is a much more affordable cost than an entirely new window,
Yeah.
right? Do you see that when you're out showing, Denise, like just the condensation in windows and stuff?
Yeah, yeah, I have, and it's one of those things that buyers go in and they're like, "Ooh."
Right,
Um,
right.
but yeah, same thing with furnaces and the ACs. If they go in and see that they're in great condition, and then it'll cut time too on the seller, so it saves them time than
Yep.
having to be under contract and then having to repair all these things when you're already under contract.
Yep. And I think you'll get a premium for your house as well, just because people, like you said before, they can paint a room, they can put new carpet down, right? But, those bigger expenses are kind of expected. And when they don't have to think about those things, it definitely positions your house in a premium. So,
Mhm.
big surprise, guys. We've got roofing contacts, we've got HVAC
Mhm.
contacts, and we've got glass contacts and window contacts. I mean, we pretty much have every contact you could
Mhm.
possibly want that we
Painters, carpet, whatever.
We've got a great flooring contact that has amazing prices. So, a lot of people wait to replace their carpet right before they move. If you want to replace it and enjoy it a little bit, let us know. That's always a nice thing too.
Mhm.
So, last is decluttering. So, I think of it kind of like spring cleaning. I mean, this is the perfect time of year, right? We're coming into that. But going through that inventory of like, what are the things you want to keep? What are the things you want to store? What are the things you want to donate? And what are the things you want to get rid of completely, right?
Mhm.
Decluttering your spaces, your cabinets, your basement storage, your garage. Um, let's face it, you're going to move one day, probably, right? Why not start to kind of thin some of that out? I would say that in order of priority, that's kind of the lower one because usually the decluttering does happen 2 weeks before we go on the market.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's
It'll
one of
happen no matter what, but
yeah, that's one of those I know me personally, I push that stuff off. I'm like, "Oh, I don't wanna do that today." But, if you're in the planning mode, right, that would be the last thing, to focus on is the decluttering. Get yourselves a good cleaning. I always say cleaning is one of the best marketing tools that we have as realtors. So,
Mm,
you don't have to get your house cleaned every week, even every other week, but I mean, a once a month kind of cleaning and go through, I think makes a huge difference. And we have those contacts as well, if you would
yes.
like one of those, right? So yeah, so I would say those things. And then kind of going back to engaging with the realtor, when we do engage with you and we know what your goals are and that you're just sort of keeping this on your radar, we can we can stay on top of the market. we will watch, depending on your timing, it might be weekly communication, it might be monthly communication, but we're going to really like watch your neighborhood, watch the days on market, watch the inventory of homes for sale, watch what they're selling for, try and predict some of the trends that we're seeing so that we can have, fact-based conversations with you about when we're going to line up best to meet your goals,
Yeah.
right? So, that this is what we do, right? Denise and I, we're out looking at houses all the time. We're watching the market all the time. And when we can really hone in on a specific area and provide that value to our clients, it's great. It doesn't cost you anything to engage with us in advance. We don't get paid till we help you achieve your goals and we get to the closing table, right? And so we want to be that trusted resource for you and help you along the way to get to that point. I have people that I talk to, when their kids go into high school, and we still got 4 years before we're going to sell, but we're going to watch that market and we're going to understand their goals and have those conversations so that when they're ready, it's not as stressful to pull that trigger.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything I forgot, Denise? Anything you want to add?
Um, I don't think so. I have clients too that wait for that 2-year mark, just so sometimes life happens, so they
Yep.
either get married, have babies, and they realize they've already outgrown their condo, their 2-bedroom condo, or whatever the case may be, and they've only been living in the home for like a year and a half. And most of them I encourage to wait for that 2-year mark so that they don't
Yes.
have to pay capital gains tax.
Yep.
But I mean, of course, it depends on their situation. Some rather wait, but other times they're like, okay, no, this is urgent and I have to sell. And I have to give them that conversation too and see how that works financially. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up really quick.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. That's a good point. I mean, everyone's timeline changes, right? And life happens, but I think it's good to have that engagement with a real estate professional so that we can, just stay on top of it for you and help you and be
Mhm.
that partner with you. So, all right. Well, I appreciate everyone joining us. Thanks for understanding our technical difficulties. I promise Denise is here. She's not just a ghost voice in the
Yes.
background.
I will see
Um,
you next week.
yeah, absolutely. I want to show our QR code here at the end. Just a couple things to talk about that are coming up. So scan this code and you will learn about our upcoming webinars. We do free coffee from 8 to 9 a.m. on the third Friday of every month at Convivio Cafe in Denver. It's near 38th and Sheridan.
Mhm.
Um, Next Monday, we're going to be talking about how to buy a home. I think this applies to any level of home buyer, whether you're a move up buyer, move down buyer, first time buyer. Um, it seems in our world kind of simple, but it's actually a question that comes up quite a bit. Like, what do you need to be prepared for? How to buy a home? So, Denise and I are going to be talking about that next week. We hope you'll join us. What am I missing? We've got some great topics coming up in February. We're going to be talking about what it looks like to move to Florida. We've had a lot of
Ooh, yeah.
clients leaving Colorado, moving to Florida. We're going to talk about trusts and the benefits of putting your home in a trust. So we've got some really great topics coming up. And also, if you scan here, you can enter for a chance to win an espresso coffee and espresso maker machine.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you guys can enter that and we'll be announcing the winner on March 4th. So until next week, reach out to us if you need us. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Bye, everyone. See you next week.
Bye.